Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Yesterday there was a discussion in Holyrood about Glasgow's low emission zone and how ineffectual it is, how awful it is and how terrible it is. And lots of problems were highlighted and they were questioned. Now, the girl that was being questioned was Mairi McAllan, the Saturday girl, or Humza's latest squeeze as some maintain. Obviously it was her who got to go off to Dubai with him. They went on separate planes, of course. They didn't want to make it obvious. But she was asked some very, very difficult questions to which the answers must never be spoken, because the answers would go and show how awful it is just before they're trying to push it into 3 other cities. And so she developed some kind of deafness or inability to understand the question, or maybe she just knew full well that there must be, under no circumstances whatsoever, the truth revealed. She did a good job. She didn't answer a single question. Most excellent for her. Let's have a look at this to see what questions were asked and what answers weren't forthcoming. Here goes. Now, before we get into it, could I ask that you check to see you're still subscribed? YouTube are doing it again. We notice they're bouncing down, and when you check on the videos, they're not coming off individual videos. It's YouTube randomly ghosting and taking these away. So do check that you are still subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, do please hit the subscribe. Join us as we search for the truth, especially this being an election year. You won't want to miss a thing. Now, Mairi McAllan has been accused of hilariously vague answers when questioned about Glasgow's low emission zone shambles. And shambles it is. It's one of the worst systems ever set up. It doesn't deal, of course, as we say many times, doesn't deal with emissions, merely the age of the cars. You can have a very dirty car, but as long as it's new, it's fine. And if you go and buy a car in the south of Ireland, say, and drive it around, it won't pick it up because they don't have access to the Irish database, the Irish vehicle database, because they won't pay for it. And it is effectively just a tax on the poor. And there are so many problems, and there's people with cloned plates and things like this, and they can prove they weren't there. And people are going to court proving it wasn't them, but still being fined because the council say, no, we don't care what the court says. It's all very, very shady. But then it is the SNP, so what do you expect? And of course it's in a city that already has very clean air. It's unnecessary. So we know that none of this is about air quality, and it's all about pa-ching, the money. Anyway, Mairi McAllan was blasted for giving a hilariously vague answer, as she refused to criticise the shambolic rollout of the low emission zone in Glasgow. The Net Zero Secretary was questioned about what 3 new cities were about to bring in the restrictions can learn from Scotland's largest city. Well, they ain't going to learn much. They'll learn how not to do it. They'll learn all the little snidey tactics. But what they won't learn is how to properly implement it, how to ensure that it isn't the poor that are paying for it. They're not going to learn how to go about getting the registration documents or the registration details, at least from foreign countries and all sorts of things. They're not going to learn because Glasgow haven't done it. The SNP-led Glasgow City Council's creation of the low emission zone has been beset with issues. Lots. From the cameras not working on the first day to the local authority workers facing fines for breaching the rules themselves. And dozens of motorists got their fines repealed because they were not sent out in the proper way in the recorded post. Here's the thing. Don't respond. If they arrive, don't respond. Don't sign anything. They haven't got the recorded. They can't prove that you've had it. You know, it's like anything. Never sign for anything. Aberdeen, Dundee and Edinburgh are set to follow suit and ban all of the worst polluting vehicles from city centres from June 2024. No, they're not. They're going to vote the cars that are over a certain age, not over a certain level of emission. It generally means that petrol vehicles registered from 2006 onwards and diesel cars registered after September 2015 will meet the required standards. If they pass their MOT, they've met the required standards, surely. This is done on age, not emissions. It's not a Clean Air Act. It's a cash raising act, and it's raising this cash from the poorest, the ones who cannot afford to upgrade their cars. She described the Glasgow LEZ as a landmark in tackling harmful air pollution in Edinburgh, which is the cleanest air of any city in Britain. But Glasgow's itself is well under the level at which the government says is harmful air. And indeed, the only dirty air in the city, still below the limit, but the dirtiest part of the city is the bus station, which goes to show the problem isn't cars, it's buses. Anyway, she said that this would protect public health. It will do no such thing. And confirmed that it would inform the delivery of similar schemes in Aberdeen, Dundee and Edinburgh. And she added that the Minister for Transport and I co-chair the Low Emission Zone Leadership Group, a key ministerial forum with representation from all 4 LEZ cities. Well, you should be able to answer these questions then. But you're not, because you don't know, do you? Instead of specifying any well-publicised issues with the legislation in Glasgow, she wrote, in addition, Transport Scotland officials meet regularly with the local authorities, starting LEZ enforcement in 2024, and with Glasgow and the DVLA to share knowledge and experience gained from operating the Glasgow scheme. But she's not addressing the problems. Mr Simpson pointed out that Miss McAllan could not outright criticise her fellow nationalists for their shoddy handling of the scheme. He said, I asked Mairi McAllan a simple question about what we've learnt from the Glasgow low emission scheme, given that Dundee, Edinburgh and Aberdeen are due to follow suit. Her hilariously vague answer was that lessons were related to technical and operational matters and the importance of effective communications, but not addressing the problems. She means, of course, that Glasgow has made a dog's dinner of it with wrongly imposed fines, failure to manage exemptions, get the council's own vehicles compliant, or assess the damage to local businesses, many of whom are reporting reduced footfall, and that will increase the closure rate of businesses. And once you start getting a few closed, others will follow because it becomes a less attractive place to be. And therefore the whole of Glasgow will collapse in upon itself, all because of a greedy council that needs to raise far more money than it spends, because the chief executive needs to buy 2 seats to Dubai when she's not invited. And then, of course, she has to bring her entourage and, of course, a lifetime supply of Greggs. She could not bluster her way out of the mess that she's created, and she should just have said that Glasgow's low emission zone was an object lesson in how not to introduce this kind of scheme. Glasgow's low emission zone was the subject of a legal challenge, and there might be another one. Amid claims it was unlawful, businesses across the city also complained that footfall had dropped as customers avoided coming into the city centre due to the risks of £60 fines. You can go out tomorrow, buy yourself a nice big 6.3 litre Mercedes-Benz, drive it through the city, and you're perfectly fine. Drive a 1 litre Corsa that's a day overdue, and you get a fine. Punishment on the poor. How dare poor people come to Glasgow city centre? Awful. And there we go. And she will not answer the questions because she knows the answers are so damaging and will make her look like an incompetent moron. Bit late for that. Coming up. The question that nobody's asking her is, why is she, targeting the poor? What's she got? What's Glasgow Council got against the poor? Why is it doing it on age? Why is it not doing it on emissions? Why is it not tackling the problem of foreign cars? All these things. Nobody's actually questioning these things. They need to be questioned. They need to be asked, and the answers need to be forthcoming. But they won't, because these people daren't answer the question. Anyway, I shall stop there. We shall leave Mairi McAllan to go back and snuggle up to the First Minister. He'll protect you. He'll put his loving arm around you. He does like women just like you. And we'll leave her to it. Let's hope she finds comfort in the arms of a larger, more powerful politician, someone of great stature. Oh no, we're talking about Umzi Yousaf, aren't we? Anyway, never mind, Mairi. I'm sure someone will come along one day, snatch you up. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And goodbye.